Hey guys, Madman's back here with another Diablo video, and today we're going to be talking about the World Tier 3 Capstone Dungeon that you unlock post beating the campaign. We're going to talk a little bit about how the dungeon works, what's so special about said dungeon, and what you get for completing said dungeon. And then I'm going to give you a few tips about fighting the end boss, the Collector. Now, the first thing that you need to be aware of is where the dungeon is located. It gets unlocked after you beat the campaign and you reach level 50, I believe it is. I was already there, so I don't know that part for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's level 50. It is located in the back of the Cathedral of Light in Kiobashad. There will be a little marker that says Capstone Dungeon. You click it, you go in there. And what I found out when I went to record this video is that you only get to do it once you completed it. Now, I'm pretty sure you can help others with it, but you can only access it yourself one time once you've completed the dungeon.
I'm out of essence.
That's why there is a different dungeon going on in the background of this video. I will throw a map up here so you can kind of see the location of the area that you need to go to access this particular dungeon. The next thing that you need to understand is when you go into this dungeon, it is not like your normal dungeons that you've been running throughout the game thus far. It is both longer and a little more intense than some of the other stuff that you've done in the past. Now, admittedly, it is doable by yourself, which is good. I did complete the World Tier 3 Capstone Dungeon by myself. And I gotta admit, I like the dungeon. I like the way that it's done. It is split into two separate sections. The first, it effectively runs like you're in two separate dungeons. And it's kind of cool, but they meld together to basically give you a full run of things you've already done in dungeons previously, such as collecting the animus holders. There was some mini bosses. I think there was another one where you had to collect orbs. I can't remember off the top of my head, but overall, it's actually a pretty decent length dungeon. I'd say it probably took me overall about 20 to 25 minutes to complete the whole thing. And again, I was running solo, and I'm running a necromancer corpse explosion vulnerable build. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind. As I mentioned previously, the last boss of this dungeon is the Collector. Now, this is something you need to be aware of, and I don't think it's a huge deal in 99% of cases. But if you run a necromancer corpse explosion build like I do, then you need to understand that the Collector is kind of an asshole. You do not get a whole lot of corpses to revive your minions and explode whenever you're fighting him. He doesn't drop a lot of them. That's why another part of my build is the Army of the Dead ultimate ability that leaves corpses behind whenever they attack and explode. So I was able to build on that. I was able to build on those synergies and made it work really well. Mechanically, the dungeon is actually super easy. I don't know that there's a whole lot of hard dungeons mechanically yet. I can't speak to the nightmare dungeons, but as of right now, there's nothing mechanically in this dungeon that'll throw you for a loop, which is a good thing overall. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a lot of mobs and a lot of bad guys that you have to kill to earn your way to the Collector. So what do you get once you complete the dungeon? This is your key to accessing World Tier 3. If you're like me up till this point, you've played the entire campaign and the entire game up on World Tier 2. And then World Tier 3 is going to give you more gold, more XP, increased loot drops like the Sacreds, and uniques, which I still have not gotten a unique. I've gotten a lot of Sacreds, but I've not yet gotten a unique drop. They also offer up things like nightmare sigils, And those nightmare sigils will allow you to access Nightmare Dungeon, which will also increase your opening of the end gear grind. This is kind of the first of what I would consider 2 steps to unlocking the full end game in Diablo. I think this and World Tier 4's Capstone Dungeon, which I will actually record the dungeon when I run it so that I have it for the future video when I do that video. But I think those 2 things go together really well to slowly ease you into the end of World Tier and the end game of Diablo, where you need to build your character, level up, unlock the Paragon tree, and all that stuff. Overall, I gotta say Diablo 4 has definitely put itself in an interesting live service, or an interesting space in the live service game category. The cross-platform is working really well. No real load times to speak of. The gameplay loop, if you're familiar with Diablo, is great. And having already played 70 hours of this game, I gotta admit I'm having a ton of fun. And now having reached World Tier 3, I get a whole new challenge and a whole new level of difficulty to play through, which will allow me to increase my gear that much more. And I'm pretty stoked about it, to be honest. I also believe that I found the quest that triggers the Capstone Dungeon for World Tier 4. I'll have more on that dungeon when I run through it, probably, I would say, in the next few days. Yeah, that's how I realized you can't rerun the dungeon once you've completed it. And I'm a little bit sad. So yeah, that's everything you really need to know about the World Tier 3 dungeon. I can't give you builds specifically. The only thing I can really recommend is make sure you do some decent DPS. Survivability is definitely a must for the collector, just because he's kind of a bit of a pain. So as long as you can do decent DPS, you might have to pinprick him a little bit to get him there, but you'll get him there eventually. This has been fun. I've enjoyed Diablo 4 so far, and I'm looking forward to doing more videos on the various builds, things like that. I want to say thank you guys for watching, fellow adventurers. I have been the Madman, and I hope you've enjoyed our journey through the world of Diablo 4 today. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more Diablo 4 content coming your way like this. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, may the loot gods smile upon you and your enemies tremble at your feet. Stay mad, my friends.